Hello, welcome back to the breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. Want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I have a ton of huge news to share with all of you today. So, this entire week has been absolutely explosive inside of Russia. We've been having hundreds and hundreds of drones almost every single night attacking Russia and primarily the capital of Moscow. Ukraine did this again last night in probably one of the most massive drone attacks on Russia to date. I'm hearing almost as high as 500 drones, if not more, flew into Russian territory and disrupting many services, especially inside of Moscow. So you can see here on your screen, Moscow airport's at a standstill after repeated Ukrainian drone attacks. A transport disruption occurred at many airports in central Russia as a result of a UAV attack. Passengers on canceled or delayed flights were stranded for hours in overcrowded terminals. Yeah, absolutely insane what's happening inside of Russia right now. Ukraine is definitely keeping up the pressure, attacking Moscow repeatedly, as in just the next couple days, Moscow is supposed to be holding that major Victory Day parade, and a lot of world leaders are already starting to arrive over in Moscow at the same time with all these drone attacks taking place. So I've got lots of pictures and videos coming out like what you see here. And we also have information that so many military installations were being targeted last night. We had airfields being hit all over Russia. I mean, Ukraine was just absolutely pummeling the Russians last night and overwhelming their air defense systems. Okay, so just so much information to get into. I'd rather just dive into this, start sharing all this information. Let's go ahead and jump into this, guys. We're going to hop on over here with Slava. Moscow is almost completely paralyzed. Nothing works in the capital due to preparations for the parade. According to Russian media, airports are in a state of collapse. Hundreds of passengers are stranded. Companies are canceling flights. Mobile internet is dead. Restaurants, shops, and banks in the parade venues are sealed. The metro is closed. Food delivery is not working. Taxi work is limited. It is almost impossible to call a car, they write. Wow, guys, that's crazy what's happening. And this is all due to Ukraine just consistently launching drones into Russia. Here's downdetector.com showing the amount of reports of outages. I'm not sure exactly what service that they're showing here because it's in Russian, but clearly here a lot of different types of services, primarily transportation. It looks like a big one. Communication is just down. I mean, we know that Russia's going to be shutting down internet as well to help protect the capital due to potential incoming attacks from Ukraine. And so far, we've been seeing Ukraine really picking up the heat and just hammering Moscow like crazy, really trying to test their air defense systems and overwhelm them. So it really makes you wonder if Ukraine is going to heavily attack the parade coming up on the 9th. We'll see what happens here. Let's jump on to another update now from Anton Gerashenko. Drone attacks on military infrastructure on Russian territory have continued for more than 24 hours, Russian media report. Russian air defense is being worn out. Russian Telegram channels report that in Moscow there are issues with online access. Almost nothing works. Cafes and stores are closed in the city center. Only cash is accepted for payment. It is impossible to order food as well to call a cab. It is reported that mobile internet is not working in Tula, Yaroslavl, Ver, Saransk, and Kursk. Failures are also observed in the work of payment terminals and validators in public transport. In Moscow and Moscow region, in addition to the internet, ATMs aren't working. There are also plans to limit online access in Russia's Voronezh region and Chuvashia. In the latter, traffic will also be limited on May 9th. Reportedly, this is due to preparations for the May 9th parade. Okay, so look at this map from Drone Bomber last night. These were the drones that were starting to enter into Russia. You can see a lot of them heading on up here towards the Moscow region, which is where the primary target is for a lot of these drones right now. They're really trying to disrupt that parade. You can see it is working, okay? ATM's not working, can't call a taxi cab, businesses are closing down, no internet. I mean, it's just absolute insanity what's happening inside of Moscow, and Moscow is the most populated center of Russia, period, okay? So this is really going to disrupt their economy as well, and I wonder if Ukraine is just going to continue to keep up the pressure onto Russia here moving forward, and these attacks are going to be taking place almost every single night, which is heavily going to pressure Moscow, okay? So now from next to collapse at Russian airports, canceled flights and crowds of people. Dozens of flights have been delayed at Russian airports due to drone attacks. The airline Pobeda announced it is canceling some flights on May 6 and 7 because of restrictions imposed at several Russian airports. Hundreds of passengers have gathered in Moscow airports waiting in chaotic scenes. Okay, so we got a couple of videos coming out from the airports over there and some pictures as well. So let's go ahead and jump into this. All right, just a quick clip, 5 seconds long, but we can see lots of people just kind of laying around, as many of them being stranded, cannot get on their flights due to either canceled or delayed flights. So pretty crazy what's happening over here. We've got another video coming up. All right, lines and lines of Russian citizens at the airports in Moscow just waiting to get on their flights. I couldn't imagine just standing there and thinking, why is this war not over with? Why is it still continuing? And why do we have to deal with this? I even saw a video coming out earlier today as well of Russian people just holding kind of like a concert inside of the airport and just kind of hanging out and enjoying themselves while they're waiting. And just imagine not wanting to go tell your government, hey, just get this war over with so we don't have to have these disruptions. The people appear to be, for the most part, okay with it, is what we're seeing here coming out from Moscow. So take a look at these pictures too. These are all the canceled and delayed flights. I can see many of these in red, okay? These are all canceled flights or delayed at the time for departure. We've got another picture here. I mean, just look at the airport. It's just absolutely packed with people and complete grind to a halt here inside of Moscow, okay? So now for MAX 24, at least 60,000 passengers and 350 flights delayed in Russia due to drone attacks. Here's a picture coming out showing all these airlines just lined up over here, just like that video I showed you guys. Many of them can't even take off from the airport due to restrictions of these drone attacks of inside of Moscow, okay? So now from Yurganonets, wow, this was the most massive attack by the Ukrainian armed forces. The Ukrainians used 447 long-range UAVs and missiles last evening and night. Russian military correspondent stated, okay, this was an attack inside of Russia last night. I'm not sure which attack it was, but there was just so many. We're going to go over as much of them as we can, guys. There's just so much information from this war today in terms of attacks. Now from War Translated, Russia's Ministry of Defense claims that their air defense shot down 524 Ukrainian drones, 5 Neptune missiles, 6 JDAM bombs, and 2 HIMARS rockets all in a single day. Yes, we totally believe them. You guys can let me know if you believe what the Russian Ministry of Defense is claiming here. They're stating they shot down 524 Ukrainian drones, but Ukraine's saying they only fired 447 or so, right? So either way, we know a lot of drones were entering into Russia last night, many of them hitting directly on their targets, because I have lots of pictures and videos of direct hits. So check this out here from Nexta. The parade in Russia is under threat. Ukraine has attacked the Kubinka airfield, home to the Russian Knights and Strizy, if I'm saying that right, aerobatic teams, which are scheduled to take part in an aerial segment of the May 9th parade. Drones also struck the Shaikovka airbase in the Kluga region, but that's not all. The overnight drone attacks hit strategically vital defense-linked enterprises. Russia's largest rocket production plant for multiple launch rocket systems, Splav in Tula, and Instrument Design Bureau, one of the country's key defense and industry sites, an optical fiber manufacturing plant in Saransk. The drone raids affected Mordovia, if I'm saying that right, Kursk, Bryansk, Kostroma, Tula, Yaroslavl, Voronezh regions. Meanwhile, Russian airports saw massive crowds as flights were canceled or delayed. So, I mean, look at all these attacks, guys. Airfields. This is a fire firms map at one of the airfields inside of Russia, probably Kubinka airfield. We had multiple fires breaking out here due to drone attacks. This is a fiber optic line production company that produces fiber optic lines for the drones, the FPV drones that Russia uses. So this is a very big hit. We've been talking a lot about these fiber optic drones recently. And here's that picture of another facility that was struck. I'm thinking maybe this might be the Splav center that produces multiple launch rocket systems and other types of equipment for the Navy in Russia. And one more photo here, another building just completely hit, okay? So this could be an optical fiber manufacturing plant in Saransk, I'm thinking, but we don't know exactly which ones are labeled. But I have more reports here that get into the depth of these strikes, okay? Now from Kyiv, the Russian Nuri Ungrinskaya, if I'm saying that right, coal enrichment plant, one of the largest and most advanced enterprises in the Russian coal industry, blowing up. Okay, this was a report coming out today. I'm not sure if this was due to a Ukrainian drone attack. Maybe it was, but this is part of Russia's coal industry, and we know their coal industry is completely collapsing over the last year or so. Prices have been falling through the floor, and this is gonna make it even harder for Russia to export more coal when they've got very important plants like this exploding. Okay, so could be possible, maybe sabotage, or maybe Ukrainian drone attack, or maybe just some sort of freak accident here. We have no idea, but nonetheless, coal enrichment plant exploding in Russia. Now from Anakomsa, the Moscow region is under attack for the third consecutive night. 10-second clip, guys. Take a look at these drones entering into Moscow region last night. All right, so it looks like, according to this clip, we had a direct interception. Russian Panzer S-1 air defense systems most likely taking down this incoming drone to the Moscow region. So they definitely shot some of them down, but I highly doubt they shot down 500 drones. It's highly unlikely considering how many strikes we're going to be talking about here. Now from NOAA reports, at this moment, more than a dozen UAVs are flying through Zelenogorsk in the direction of Moscow. Russian air defense is reportedly already active near Ramenskoye, Moscow region. Okay, so take a look at this. May 7th at 6:42 a.m. Okay, so this is probably in the afternoon on Moscow. Drones already heading back up that direction again. Okay, so consistently, Ukraine just really picking up the pressure and hammering Moscow like crazy, trying to do whatever they can to disrupt this parade. Just consistent attacks ongoing. Okay. Now for Max 24, here we go again. The enemy is preliminarily launching UAVs again in mass through the border regions. We are clarifying the direction and quantity. Okay, this is another report on Telegram. Russian forces talking about more UAVs heading up towards Moscow again. So again, just nonstop attacks happening inside of Russia, and Ukraine is not letting up at all. Now for Max 24, AFU strikes Splav plant in the Tula region. Key enterprise in Russia's defense industry and part of Rostec State Corporation. The plant produces MLRS such as Grad, Smerch, Ergon, and Tornado S, as well as complexes for the Navy and anti-submarine systems. Okay, so here's a Splav plant, the Tula region that was attacked last night. You can see direct hit on this facility and on fire. Okay, we had at least one drone striking this facility. And again, it produces MLRS, so a lot of rocket systems, and also for the Navy and anti-submarine systems. Okay, so directly linked to Russia's military. Huge hits over here on the Splav plant in the Tula region. Now from Bliskovka, the SSU drones attacked two military factories in the Russian rear, Splav and Bazalt, according to media reports. Bazalt produces weapons and ammunition for all branches of the Russian armed forces. Splav is the only company in Russia that designs and manufactures MLRS. Fires broke out at both facilities as a result of the strike. So this is another video potentially on the Bazalt factory as well, producing weapons and ammunition for the Russian armed forces. Take a look at this.
Вон дым, пиздец.
All right, so not a whole lot of sound in this video, just somebody briefly talking, but somebody was recording this strike over here on the Bazalt factory producing weapons and ammunition for Russia's military. So it looks like we had a direct hit on that facility as well. Just so many facilities being hit last night. Here's another one from Astra. Optical fiber systems JSC plant on fire in Saransk after Ukrainian drone strike, says Astra analysis. According to Astra's analysis of eyewitness footage from one of the fires in Saransk, the city's optical fiber manufacturing plant is once again on fire. Optical Fiber Systems JSC is Russia's first and only optical fiber production facility located in Saransk, Republic of Mordovia. According to the company's website, Ukrainian Interior Ministry advisor Anton Yurishenko previously stated that the Saransk plant produces fiber optic cables used to operate drones in the war against Ukraine. Okay, so here's more pictures coming out from this, the Optical Fiber Systems JSC plant, okay, in the city of Saransk, okay, producing fiber optic cables for FPV drones. And these fiber optic cables make it very difficult for Ukraine to bring down the incoming drones or the FPV drones that attack their territory. That's why Russia uses these. We know Ukraine is doing the same thing, and we just had a report yesterday that Ukraine is actively working on with some other NATO nations, I think it was Finland, to try to produce some sort of system or something that they can use to counter these incoming FPV drones that are used with fiber optic cables. Okay, so direct hit on this plant in Saransk. Now, from Euromaidan Press, Ukrainian drones struck the Kubinka military airfield in Moscow Oblast, which serves as a base for MiG-29 and Su-27 fighter jets used against Ukraine. The drone attacks created significant disruption to Russian aviation on 7th of May, with civilian flights canceled or delayed. Okay, so even the Kubinka military airfield in Moscow Oblast being attacked here, guys. Here's a video coming out from there. You're going to see a flash of light right over here. Looks like we had a direct strike from a drone. And from what I understand, we had fires that broke out at this military airfield as well. Okay, so even airfields being attacked last night. Here's another report from Max 24. Fires at the Kubinka and Sheikovka air bases where Russian aviation is based, according to firms, which are fire maps. According to monitoring channels, the strikes were conducted at fuel and lubricant warehouses. Okay, so allegedly fuel lubricant warehouses being struck at some of the airfields over here, which is a very important target to go after, because if Russia doesn't have fuel or any lubricants for their aircraft, they obviously can't operate them. So these are pictures coming out showing the fires that had broken out near these airfields in the Moscow region. So 2 major air bases being attacked last night as well. Now for Max 24, this is what Russian channels are writing, waiting for confirmation. So here's another report from Russian Telegram channels. And it says here, Ukraine attacked the Kubinka airfield where aerobatic, and it says, according to the MNS publication, as a result of the Ukrainian UAV raid on the Kubinka military airfield, 1 aircraft burned down. There is destruction at the site. Preliminary, no one was injured. Okay, so potentially 1 aircraft being burned down and destroyed at the Kubinka military airfield. Okay, so one of these airfields out of the 2 that were attacked last night, potentially 1 aircraft destroyed as well, according to this information. I'm sure we'll get more info here in the next 24 to 48 hours on a lot of these strikes, because so many strikes taking place today, and just some information coming out now. Now for Max 24, Krasnoarmeysk, if I'm saying that correctly, Moscow region, unmanned system forces struck production of aerial bombs JSC NPO Bazalt. JSC NPO Bazalt is one of the leading defense enterprises in Russia, specialized in the development and production of ammunition and various types of armed forces. The branch in Krasnoarmeysk, if I'm saying that right again, Moscow region, is an important scientific and production division of the company. It is engaged in the creation and testing of modern weapons, including rocket launchers and aerial bombs. So I pulled up this report. We talked about Basalt, but I've got another video I wanted to show you guys here real quick. So let's jump into this. Pretty insane video. Okay, so you guys might have missed that. I understand a little bit longer video than maybe it needs to be, but we had a direct strike here on this facility, and somebody actually caught it right outside their window with this drone hammering at the Basalt military facility. Here's a picture also of that direct strike. Okay, so absolutely insane video right there. So the JSC NPO Basalt defense enterprise in Russia. Okay, so specializing again in ammunition and equipment for Russia's military. So also what we had happening last night, I wasn't able to mention it towards the beginning of this video, but we did have some massive attacks taking place inside of Ukraine as well. Russia launched ballistic missiles targeting Kiev once again. So Vicegrad 24 is reporting breaking. Russia has launched ballistic missile against 3 Ukrainian cities tonight: Konotop, Dnipro, and Kiev. The picture is from Kiev tonight, okay? So massive hit over here inside of Kiev. As far as I know, we had people being injured and killed last night in these strikes, and not only did we have missiles entering into Ukraine, but drones as well. I think it was somewhere around 140 drones or so. Now from Bliskovka, consequences of Russian strikes on Kiev districts. Dniprovsky, if I'm saying that correctly, district. A drone fell on a high-rise building. Part of a balcony on the 29th to the 30th floors was destroyed. No fire and no casualties. Svaya Tajninsky, that one's tough to pronounce, district. Debris caused a fire in a house. 5 people were injured, 1 adult and 4 children. Shevchenskivsky district. Apartments in a 5-story building caught fire. 2 people were killed. Solomiansky district. A drone crashed into an open area. No casualties. Okay, so it looks like multiple regions and districts of Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, were being hit last night. These are pictures coming out showing damage and fires that broke out in some of the apartments. I mean, if I was living in a high-rise building, I'd be very afraid. I mean, we do have smaller homes, single floor homes that get attacked all the time from Russian drones, but more often than not, what we see is these high-rise buildings taking direct hits. So I would be very afraid to live in some of these high-rise buildings. I mean, it's just such a larger target, more likely to be hit from Russian drones. So very sad to report this, guys, but we did have some attacks inside of Ukraine. Here's another one from Kate from Kharkiv. Another video this morning, Russia's drones strike Kharkiv yet again. Turn the sound on, watch closely, then imagine living this nightmare every single day for over 3 years. 30 seconds, guys. Take a look. We'll go ahead and pause it there. So absolutely frightening. You can see there's already a fire that broke out, probably from another Russian drone. Soon after, we had another drone. You can actually see it dive bombing in this area. There's another one right there crashing just all over the place over here. I'm not sure if these drones were being shot down or what's going on here, but consistently, Russian drones entering into Kharkiv is what we've been reporting here over the last several months now. Lots of hits over there with drones. Now from Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the president of Ukraine, overnight the Russians launched 4 ballistic missiles and 142 drones. Half of them were Shaheeds. Dozens more UAVs are still in our skies. Kiev was struck twice, first by ballistic missiles, then by drones in the morning. All emergency services are currently on the ground assisting people. As of now, there are reports of 7 injured, including 4 children. Tragically, a woman and her son were killed. My condolences go out to the family and loved ones. Since the evening, there have also been numerous strikes on Zaporizhia, Donetsk, Zhytomyr, Kherson, and Dnipro regions. Emergency services were deployed in all those locations after the Russian ballistic missile strike on Velika, Chernychinya. Sorry, guys, I don't know how to pronounce that one. In Sumy region, the Russians also began dropping aerial bombs and shelling the area just as rescue operations were underway. Only significantly intensified pressure on Russia and stronger sanctions can pave the way to diplomacy. Any measures depriving the aggressor of resources to wage war must be implemented to bring lasting peace. I thank our partners who share this view and help us. I thank everyone who helps Ukraine with air defense. Russia must be held accountable for its actions. We got a minute and 30-second clip here of the strikes inside of Ukraine last night, guys. Take a look at this. All right, and as this war continues to grind on, we can see here Lots of massive attacks still taking place inside of Ukraine. I do like to cover what happens in Russia, but I also want you guys to see what Russia is doing to Ukraine so you can see the amount of damage that takes place over here. People, innocent people being hurt, losing their lives, loved ones. I mean, it's absolute madness what's happening inside of Ukraine right now. So now we'll move on to another update from Anton Gerashenko. After the ballistic strike, Russia attacked Kiev with drones last night. So many people in Kiev got hardly any sleep, trying to just stay safe. 2 people were killed, 8 more injured, 4 of them children. Debris fell on residential buildings, causing fires. Just a couple pictures to show you guys as well. High-rise buildings being hit last night. Emergency crews showing up to put out some of the flames on these buildings as Russian drones were slamming into, again, civilian infrastructure. Now from Vicegrad 24, while the world was watching the fighting between India and Pakistan last night, Russian suicide drones struck residential areas in Kiev, killing 2 Ukrainians and wounding 7. Western media barely wrote 2 words about the Russian attack. So, yeah, last night, while I was covering the whole conflict right now that's breaking out between Pakistan and India, at the same time, Ukraine was just getting hammered. And last night on X, it was just nothing but Pakistan and India information that was just flowing around. And there was some information coming out on Ukraine, but a lot of it was getting covered up due to the action that was taking place inside of Pakistan last night when India was launching missiles over there. But although at that same time, while that conflict was breaking out, we still have Ukraine being hammered with drones and missiles. Now from Bliskovka, EU prepares 17th package of sanctions to hit more than 20 companies that help Russia circumvent restrictions, according to the Financial Times. About 12 of them are located in the UAE, Turkey, Serbia, Vietnam, and Uzbekistan. New dual-use goods with potential military applications will also be added to the list. It also extends the exemption for the Russian Sakhalin project, which is a key supplier of oil and gas to Japan, until June 2026. Okay, so huge sanctions package that's going to get placed onto Russia here very soon, and I'm wondering if the U.S. is going to jointly do this with them. We've been hearing that the U.S. might unveil some major sanctions onto Russia also, but expect to hear more about this here in the coming days. Probably by the end of the week, maybe even tomorrow or so, the EU will announce this new 17th package of sanctions, okay? So now from Max 24, Zelenskyy knows that he can only rely on me and Germany. New Chancellor Merz answered the question about the supply of Taurus cruise missiles to Ukraine. So Friedrich Merz here, the new Chancellor of Germany, was on some sort of interview today, I think inside of Germany. And he did mention that he is going to be sending Taurus cruise missiles over to Ukraine. Okay, this is something he's mentioned multiple times before, but this was what he stated. Zelenskyy knows that he can rely on me in Germany. That means most likely they're going to be sending them over. Now we'll see if they get pushback inside of the nation from some other top leaders of Germany, but it looks like he is very open to sending them, and Ukraine could be receiving these Taurus missiles very soon. Now for Max 24, Canada will donate to Ukraine the Russian AN-124 aircraft that Canada seized in February 2022. So I believe this is a Russian aircraft, transport aircraft, AN-124, that was seized by Canada, I think at the start of the war, at February 2022, yeah. And it looks like they want to hand this over to Ukraine so Ukraine can start using this. So that's very big, okay? They can start using this to transport equipment around their nation or maybe from other nations. Very big news today from Canada. Now from the Ukrainian Review, former President Biden slams Trump's Ukraine stance, calling it modern-day appeasement of Russia. According to Reuters, Biden warned Putin won't stop, saying it's naive to think giving up Ukrainian land will satisfy Moscow. And here's a report from Reuters. Former U.S. President Biden accuses Trump of appeasement of Russia. Yeah, so Biden was in an interview, I think it was with Reuters yesterday, and this is what he stated, okay? So he's not happy with the way Trump is handling this war, and I'm sure a lot of Ukrainian supporters are really not happy with the way Trump is dealing with this. And if anything, it's giving Russia the upper hand right now, and many people believe that you should not appease to Vladimir Putin, that pressure is the only thing that can force this conflict to come to an end peacefully. So, yeah, Biden just kind of putting in his 2 cents yesterday and kind of warning Trump and letting him know not to let up the pressure on Vladimir Putin, continue to arm Ukraine, and let Ukraine fight till the end and win this thing is kind of what he's stating here. Now from the Ukrainian Review, if peace is not on Ukraine's terms, Putin will attack again. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, she said that a weak peace deal with Russia could open the door to more war because Putin negotiates with bombs. She's got a point there. I mean, let me know what you guys think on Ursula von der Leyen, the European Commission president. This is what she stated. We've heard this so many times from European leaders, warning that, we cannot appease to Russia. We need to keep the pressure on Moscow, give Ukraine everything they need to fight, and do what they need to win this war against Russia, because giving them over this territory like Crimea and the southeastern parts of Ukraine that are currently under Russian control is not going to help the situation. Putin will just attack again, is what she's stating. So more warnings on potential war in the future if it comes to an end the wrong way. Now, for more translated, Putin is the main obstacle to a ceasefire in Ukraine, says U.S. Special Envoy Keith Kellogg. Okay, so we're really starting to see a flip-flop here with the U.S. administration under Trump. Keith Kellogg, Special Envoy out of the Middle East, he's stating that that Putin is the main obstacle here, okay? That now it's Russia's turn, okay? Russia needs to come to the table and end this war with Ukraine, and it's all up to Putin. So that's interesting that just, we're starting to see this now. Ever since that whole minerals deal was signed between Ukraine and the U.S., now we're seeing the U.S. completely coming out with a different rhetoric here and not really saying that Ukraine is the problem anymore. They're now saying that it's Putin who's the problem. So very interesting. I think we're going to see some sort of sanctions being slammed onto Russia here very soon. I think something will happen. Now from Bliskovka, since yesterday evening, the Russian Federation has launched 5 ballistic missiles and 187 drones at Ukraine. Ukrainian armed forces reported air defense forces shot down 2 enemy missiles and 81 shaheeds. Another 64 drone simulators were lost in location without negative consequences. Okay, so I think earlier I mentioned somewhere around 140 drones. My apologies, 187. These numbers just fluctuate every day, so I get confused with some of these numbers. But yeah, 187 drones entering into Ukraine last night, almost 200. That's a pretty massive attack. And looks like we had about 5 ballistic missiles being fired of different types. Many of these landing inside of Kiev last night, so very unfortunate situation, but Ukraine was hammering Russia very hard last night. Now from the Kyiv Independent, these are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of May 7th, according to the armed forces of Ukraine. In our last reports of the day, Russia's losses as of May 7th, 1,270 troops, 3 AFVs, 131 vehicles and fuel tanks, 14 tanks, 71 artillery systems, 124 UAVs, and 1 cruise missile, all being destroyed in the last 24 hours, okay? So still somewhat lower numbers, but a little bit higher than what we have been seeing, especially this tank number. We've usually been seeing around 3 to 5. 14 destroyed over the last 24 hours, definitely a higher number than usual. Troop losses still about the same, around 1,200. We've been seeing that for weeks now. 71 artillery systems, a little bit higher as well. We had like a 60, somewhere around 62 or 61 yesterday, now 71 today, so still a lot of artillery systems being destroyed. Aside from that, not too much, again, is what we've been seeing for the last probably 2 weeks now. So lots of huge news coming out from this war today, guys. Let's see what happens here over the next day or so. I think we're going to see massive fireworks taking place inside of Moscow and Russia in general. And I think Ukraine's going to continue to do whatever they can to disrupt this parade. But the real question here is, what is Ukraine going to do on the day of the parade? Are they going to try to crash the party and ruin it for Vladimir Putin? We'll see what happens here. But you guys let me know what you think down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.